What is the Gnostic Journey? This is the 13th in a series of videos on Gnosticism for today. Seemed appropriate to wear this shirt for the topic because the Gnostic journey is uncanny. So, most of us have heard of the hero's journey of Joseph Campbell. He came across this idea when looking through the world's mythologies, legends, literatures, and he decided there was a pattern that involved initiating the hero in many different cultures. This idea has become rather controversial, partly because there's many hero myths that don't seem to work as initiation. And in fact, a number of us, and I'm thinking of Sharon Blackie, P.J. Manny, Rachel Vaughn, consider the hero to be not only a problematic figure and a dangerous one and a reckless one, but also a questionable one in terms of the world's mythologies. The hero sometimes has a bad end. Sometimes they're more like what we would call an anti-hero nowadays. In any case, when looking through literature, myth on my own, I was more interested in what does the path of the seeker look like in the world's mythologies. So I put together something I want to share with you. It's a 7-phase journey that I seem to detect going on with seekers after gnosis. People who can't be fooled by the everyday anymore. People who were described by Hermann Hesse as having one dimension too many. Those of us who are longing for more, looking for more. That's what I'm calling the Gnostic Journey. So I wanted to talk about that, and also to spend a little bit of time, especially on the first phase. And if you want to hear more about this, let me know in the comments and I can do more videos on it. But let me go through the phases real quick and then say more about the first. So at the beginning of the Gnostic journey, the journey into deeper awareness, the journey into a world that's more complex than we realized, a world that's even uncanny. Encountering the uncanny is the first phase. Things begin to happen that we can't explain in terms of our usual worldview, and they give us a feeling of anxiety. That's usually the first phase. No glorious blast of trumpets, no grand adventure. The adventure is grand and spacious, but it doesn't start with heavenly choirs singing. It usually starts with some kind of descent. So phase number one, encountering the uncanny. Number 2, enduring the fall. So this is the phase of descent proper, where it seems like everything's falling apart. All the things we relied on, or the people relied on, ways of doing things, ways of showing up in the world don't work anymore. And at this part of the Gnostic journey, a lot of us try to go back to normal, not realizing yet that normal's gone. We have to go somewhere else. The third phase is meeting helpers. This part of it is similar to something that Campbell points out, where people who are helpful spirits show up to accompany you on the journey. That's true of many kinds of journeys, not just the heroic one. It's true of the Gnostic journey. People show up who at first might seem odd or strange or unexpected, and it turns out that they're exactly the kinds of people you need to go further into the depths. Fourth, awakening to the spark. So realizing at the bottom of the descent that there's something in you that is similar to what the Gnostics describe as the seed of spirit. Some longing, some vision, some image of a life full of possibilities. Something unexpected happens that awakens you and makes you connected to meanings larger than what you expected. So awakening the spark, that's number 4. The 5th is rising past the archons. So the principles, the dogmas, the God figures that we previously identified with don't work for us anymore. We pass them by, as the Gnostics would say. We learn to not fight with them anymore because they're irrelevant. So we just pass them by. 6, joining with the angel who protects us. So As we saw in a previous video, the Gnostic angel isn't a furry cherub, a pleasant angel, is actually an uncanny being. Our higher self would be a contemporary way of putting it, so joining forces with our higher self. And there's a level of, I don't know if protection is the right word that this brings, but suddenly it seems to ease some of the difficulties we've been struggling with. The path smooths out. And then seventh, entering the treasury. So there's a Gnostic image of taking divine sparks and putting them in the treasury of the pleroma, the treasury of wholeness. So meeting our wholeness and coming out of this at a higher level than we did before. And there's a scene at the end of the first Matrix film that captures this, where Neo is back in the Matrix at the very end. He's got the cool sunglasses on, and he's looking around really slowly. And they don't show it from his point of view, but you know, because of what happened earlier, that he's actually seeing behind the appearances. He's seeing the actual programming, right? And it's not that he makes peace with that because it's unjust, especially to the people who are still caught in it. But he comes to a place where he's somewhat detached, isn't quite the right word, but he knows his way now. He knows what he has to do. So that might be one image of that. So going back to encountering the uncanny, there's a scene in the Truman Show where Truman has grown up in this kind of sleepy neighborhood that's actually a TV set that he doesn't know anything about. This foreshadows reality TV. And so one day, one of the lights falls off what looks like the sky, but it's actually the roof of the TV studio. A light falls off and crashes into the ground. And he's like, what is that? And somebody who's near him, you know, one of the archons, as a Gnostic would say, says, oh, it's just something that fell off an airplane. But he looks at it, and you can tell he's thinking, that didn't fall off an airplane. And then when he's walking through a plaza, he begins to realize that people are watching him. So there's this feeling of, what's going on here? And it's unshakable. And that's often the beginning of the Gnostic journey. But ultimately, it's a journey in service to wholeness.